Hello everyone, welcome back to Open Table Adventures. As always, I am Dan the Baker here at PAX Unplugged with Table Talks, our series where we talk to some of our favorite, hopefully your favorite, TTRPG content creators. Today I have with me Whitney. Hi Whitney.
Hi.
How are you doing today?
I am
Day 2 of PAX.
so sweaty and tired.
Yeah.
But I feel like that's just PAX.
That's just PAX,
That's
for
just
sure.
PAX.
Why don't you start, let's tell us a little bit about who you are, what you do.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm Whitney. Pronouns are she, her. I am smoking glue guns everywhere on the internet except for Facebook because it's irrelevant. And I am a maker of shiny sparkly math rocks and slowly dabbling in the world of being on more actual plays and actually playing games with the math rocks I make. I know, novel concept.
That's great. I love your dice so much. They're always so fun and so just like,
Thank you.
I think just the best way is whimsical.
That's kind of what I strive to do. There's a lot of incredibly talented people in the space. And the thing that I kind of strive to do is like, there's lots of sparkles and sparkles are great. I own many sparkles.
Nice.
But yes, I am a glittering sparkle today. But it's really fun to me to think outside the box, and my brain is just a weird ball of soup. So I never necessarily have a plan when I'm going to make things. I just sort of sit down, dig through my pile of goodies, and I'm like, bones sound good today. Let's play with bones.
That's how I wake up every day. So, bones sound good. Let's play with bones. Yeah. But how'd you get started in dice making? Like, what was that? Like, did you start with other forms of art?
I did. Yeah. I've always been like a crafty, artsy person. I did lots of painting and stuff when I was a kid. But then when I grew up and my family was like, hey, you need to like earn money and pay bills and things, I ended up getting a degree in theater, which was not what I think they had planned, and specifically the technical side of things. So I actually have a degree in live event production. I was a lighting technician or a lighting designer in the before times. And I had been traveling and whatnot, and I swear I have a point to this. I had been traveling and touring and things, and then there was this little thing that happened that like shut the entire world down for like 2.5 years.
Heard of it.
Yeah. And my entire slew of contracts basically just vanished overnight, and I was at home with nothing to do, and kind of, for lack of a better word, just depressed. I didn't have a lot going on, and I wasn't in a really good headspace. And a friend of mine at the time recommended this tiny show on the internet that nobody's probably heard of called Critical Role, and was like, you
heard
like
of it.
Stories, you should watch this thing. And I'd played D&D in high school but had horrible, heinous experiences, so I just assumed that's what D&D was just a shitty place for boys to sit around a table and like have like do whatever they would, pinch barmaids and all that cliche stuff. And I learned very quickly that no, it can be so much more and bigger and involved and complex than that, which led me to wanting to play, which led me to, as many people, wanting the sparkly rocks because I am a gremlin. And then I realized I couldn't afford the ones that I liked, so I was like, well, I could probably figure out how to make them. And I'd already been playing with resin at the time, so like the two things sort of happened simultaneously. And then I found a lovely creator on YouTube called Ribonator and spent 6 months researching. And then said YOLO and just spent too much money and got all the supplies. And then it just sort of snowballed from there. It was one of those, like, I keep telling people I whoop-sidently into a career and no one believes me. And I was like, no, it was not the plan. It just kind of happened.
That is something that like so many people I've talked to who are doing, things in the TTRPG space as a career, they literally are like, oh yeah, I tripped down the stairs and fell into it.
Like, it's not, so many of us, it turns into right place, right time, or the universe is like, hey, I see you, we're gonna let this thing pop off, and suddenly your world will change, which is kind of, I had been dabbling around for a year, and then it was like 2 years ago in February is when I first posted the first baby dice video, and like I posted it, didn't think about it, and then my friend who had edited it for me messaged me like 3 hours later and was like, have you looked at your TikTok page? And I was like, no, I haven't. I posted a video and I ignored it because that's what you're supposed to do.
Yeah.
He's like, you need to go look at your TikTok page. And in the span of 3 hours, I had gone from like just over 10,000 to 80,000 in 3 hours, and I wanted to vomit. I was like, what the fuck is happening? What do I do with this now?
It's true. It's like one of those movie moments where it's like, look at these numbers. We've gone viral.
I felt like the girl at the girl at the ball where like the spotlight finally shines on them, and they're like, it is your moment. You must step forward. And it's just sort of been. My dad keeps calling it like a roller coaster, and I'm just sort of hanging on to the back without a seatbelt and hoping for the best. And it's been like that for the last oh my God, it'll be 3 years in February. Good Lord. Where does the time go?
Where does the time? It's almost 2024, and I want it. It's
no.
like, yeah.
No, I'm gonna forget how to write it correctly for at least 6 months. I'll still be writing 2023.
What did inspire you to make that first video? Like, what was that? What was that insinuating?
So the initiating incident was I had just recently. I'd seen people do bigger dice, but I hadn't seen anyone do ones as big as the ones that I ultimately ended up making. So the person who makes my molds for me, because I long since learned that if you're making things, it is okay to outsource the things that you're not necessarily as good at, especially if it improves the overall quality of your product.
Yeah, it's okay to ask for help,
legit,
for sure.
And I'm very bad at that. But when I wanted to have a quality product, I knew I'd have to find a person who could help me elevate my game. Shout out to Nano Lab Maker if you are making dice. She's a lovely human. But we were trying to figure out how to mold the bigger dice. So the initial one didn't have any like slits down the side that you normally see in a lot of bigger dice videos to help get them out. It was just solid all the way around and suctioned, and I could not get the dice out. And it wasn't babies at first, it was just like leftover resin that I was filling up, because I didn't know how much resin it would take either. So I jokingly was like, I'm gonna ask my dad, he's stronger than me. That sounds so patronistic, but like he just physically was. So I asked him to do it, and I happened to record it because I just thought it was funny that we couldn't get it out.
Yeah.
And he had really funny reactions to just doing it, so I posted it, and it did like okay, but it didn't like do the numbers that later videos did. And since it was kind of funny, I was like, oh, could I maybe ask you to do that again, and could I put something funny in it? And he was like, yeah, no, that's totally fine. And I thought about it for a really long time, and I happened to be at a convention in Richmond, Virginia. I remember it very vividly, and I was with a friend of mine, and I just randomly sat up and said, wouldn't it be really funny if I put babies in it? But I gave him no context for that statement, so it was just, wouldn't it be really funny if I put babies in it out of nowhere?
Yeah.
So he was hella confused.
That's a normal sentence. I don't know what's... Yeah.
And I ended up like just going online to find them. The white babies were $1.66 cheaper, which is why we went with white, because the plan initially was black babies, but the white ones were cheaper. And like we filmed it, and I think I ended up like 3 minutes of footage, and I sent it to another friend who does editing and things, and I was like, hey, is there anything in here that's like funny or we can cut down and make postable? And he called me, which he never does, and was just like, this is hilarious and it's going to go viral. And I said, you're a fucking idiot. No, it won't. Funny thing, I'm still eating that to this day.
Yeah.
So it was one of those just like purely organic moments. And I've always had like a really, not always, but like in my adult life, since we've both become adults and grown-ups, I've gotten to have a really good relationship with my dad. It wasn't always the greatest when we were younger, just because he was very young when he had me.
Of course, yeah.
And expecting a teenager to be the epitome of perfection is too much to ask of any human. But I know that now as an adult. Young me didn't have that lived experience. So it truly was like the meeting of just happy accidents and fate.
Yeah. And correct me if I'm wrong, but you're from the South, right?
No.
You're not? Oh, okay.
Fun facts, we're in Philadelphia. I grew up 20 minutes outside of the city.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, this is like coming home to me. Finally, I get to have decent food and cheesesteaks again, because no one outside of this goddamn state knows how to cook them properly. It is the worst thing in the world.
Yeah.
But no, I grew up here. I ended up moving to Florida to go to college, and then got my degree and went on cruise ships. And while I was doing that, my parents then moved to South Carolina, and I just made that my address because I was touring or traveling or on boats.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to pay for an apartment because I was home for like at most a month or two at a time. So I would just crash on a couch or crash in a guest room. And then the pandemic happened, and we had to readjust. We ended up moving right before the pandemic hit, and then I ended up taking over a whole space in the house because they were like, there's no point in you going anywhere, you can just stay here.
Yeah.
Which I'm very grateful for. But yeah, no, from here actually.
Oh wow, that's super interesting. I'm from South Carolina.
Nice.
So I grew up in good old dirty Myrtle Beach.
Goodness.
So
I have not had the honor that is going to Myrtle Beach yet, but I have had the distinct privilege of Charleston on many occasions.
Okay.
Which is its own separate special little can of worms.
There's the nice parts, there's the fun parts, then there's the other parts.
There's the parts we don't talk about.
Yeah. There's the rich, white, gated neighborhoods that have houses that are more than I'll ever make in my life. Like
it's insane.
When I want to feel sad, I look at Zillow of Isle of Palms, and it's insane.
Oh, it's wild that like in South Carolina specifically, you get such a wide degree of just like houses that are like under $100,000, and it's effectively just a shoebox on stilts, and then you have like the $8.9 million McMansion situations that have like a helipad and a driveway circle, and like here's the stable for my horses,
an Olympic pool. Like
it's the state is wild. The state is absolutely wild, but I like that it's like of a moderate climate. Like we occasionally get the dusting of snow, but not like real snow.
Yeah.
I don't have to own a winter coat. I can just layer a hoodie or two.
Yeah, there's like 2 seasons.
Yeah, there's like I'm gonna die. It's so hot, and then there's tolerable.
I'd love to take a second just to let's have some promotion for the dress.
Oh my god. A word for the dress. No, I'm a huge Critical Role fan, and this is a character from EXU Calamity specifically. I deeply love that they, in their one-shots and spin-offs, started having more diversity and stuff, and the lovely and incredibly talented Bria Iyengar, who is woman of my heart. They had this character called Laren Cora Marsili, who I deeply related to, not necessarily because she was like a good person, but she is a person who wants to do good things, and sometimes that means she has to make very harsh decisions, and I deeply relate to that on a fundamental level, because the idea of perfection or being perfect is so impossible to live up to. So it's one of those things that I try to strive to just like be the best version of me that has existed so far.
Yeah.
Even if that just means every day I try to do a little bit better than I did the day before, which sounds so silly and cliche, but it's much more attainable to me than perfection.
Yeah, for sure. I loved Bria, basically ever since she hopped into the scene, but Laren was when I started loving Bria.
I
liked
so the way her brain worked.
Yeah.
And I liked the thought, not just because she said it, I think it was I wanted to build a brick shit house of a wizard. It wasn't just that, it was just there was so much complexity there that was not spoken but very evident in the way the character was constructed, and it was just so deeply relatable, and I loved that so much. And also it's a POC character, and when you're dealing with a very shwoo of whiteness and my options for POC characters are limited, I was really grateful to have one that I was like, oh, I can make this work.
And when it comes to cosplay and something like that, is that how did you get started getting into that kind of stuff?
Always have liked doing costumes and things. Always have been dabbling in
theater is also that's probably part of it.
Yeah, that's kind of where it started. Is I liked doing theater and things. And when you're working on theatrical projects, yes, necessarily you have your job title. A lot of times it would be spotlight operator or lighting designer or techie. But you end up sort of becoming a jack of all trades, because it's one of those if one of these branches falls, we pick the rest of the branches up and make it work together. So I quite often would just make friends with the people who repaired the costumes or made the costumes, because costumes and costuming has always been something I've deeply loved, but never a world in which I saw myself. Partly because of my skin tone, it was one of those that you're very limited when you're a nerdy kid and you're looking at the swath of just cartoons and things to find representation, and I just had it in my head for a really long time that I couldn't cosplay characters that didn't look like me, and the characters that looked like me didn't necessarily exist. So it was one of those, I tried, I felt weird, and it took me becoming a more fully formed in my own identities to be no, fuck what anyone else thinks. If I like the character, I'm gonna cosplay the character. It doesn't matter that the character is white and the size of a toothpick. I relate to what this character represents. The way they physically look, aside from the actual outfit and things, those are things that I can adjust to fit my body type and my style. Those are things that I can work with, and it doesn't necessarily mean this XYZ is off limits because of that. It's why I ended up doing Jaina Proudmoore from World of Warcraft, who is another one of my favorite characters, and I love that cosplay. I'm building another one from WoW because I like big giant armor, and if I can have giant 7-foot tall staffs, I'm gonna do that. But it's one of those just learning to be comfortable in your own skin, and it took me becoming an adult. And honestly, doing videos. Putting yourself on camera on a regular basis has a hell of a way of making you just become more comfortable with your own skin, especially when you're editing your own things. You're staring at your face a lot, and it's very easy to fall into the rabbit hole of picking yourself apart. But I've learned to look at it more as I don't know what the right word is, but more of like a self-appreciation tool. If I focus on every little thing I would love to fix about me, I would be staring at the thing all day and I wouldn't get the many things I have to get done.
Yeah, that's very relatable.
Yeah.
But I think, doing TikTok and doing content creation, I think, for me personally, I've always had a weird relationship with my voice. I think because I've always had like a little bit, gay voice. And like
That's just a voice, Dan.
And I'm also gay. And
so it's just your voice.
But it was like I got made fun of it for it in like elementary school and stuff, and then starting making videos and starting hearing my own voice. I'm like, I actually like how I sound.
Yeah.
Like I like the inflections I have, and like.
For me, it's a thing I've been regularly told is a hyena cackle. And for a very long time, I was very uncomfortable. I would sort of stifle it or like hide it because I thought people were picking on me for it. And then it's now become a thing that like people recognize me for because the thing I think someone told me once at a convention was like, we can hear the joy in your laughter, and that's why we like it. So it helped me become comfortable with that part. I laugh a little more freely now because it's like, oh well, like the internet likes the way I laugh, so like fuck what anyone else thinks.
If you make fun of someone's laugh, I feel like you're a bad person. Like it's. A laugh is like, oh, I'm so happy, I need to make a noise about it, and you're making fun of that. Like, what's wrong with you?
It's like in musicals, it's like when you can no longer, when words are no longer enough, you sing. When singing is no longer enough, you dance. Or something like that. That's how I feel about laughter. It's like when words no longer enough to convey how joyous I am, and more how funny this is in this moment, that's when you laugh. And so like, learning to love my laugh has been a process that honestly TikTok helped, which is really cool. Yeah,
the cool just like side effect byproduct of content creation, I think, is good. Is like self-acceptance.
It's a lot of it's forced self-acceptance because like there is the alternative is like self-hatred, and no, we ain't got time for that here. I would turn into a puddle in my bed and again never get anything done. And I run around like a chicken with my head cut off every day, so I don't have time for that.
No, that's so very valid. I'd love to take a step back and talk about just like your dice and dice making and stuff. Do you ever feel like, going back also to kind of the perfectionistness of it, do you ever feel like you need to keep topping yourself? Like, do you like, I need to do the next big thing?
100%. I regularly am trying to do something new or do something different or try something new. Or honestly, the word I like to use is I like to challenge myself a lot. And when it comes to the quality of my work, it sounds very silly, but I give a shit. I am very much aware that handcrafted dice are not cheap, and rightfully so. There's a lot of work that goes into making them.
Pay your artist.
Preach. But however, if I'm going to ask someone to pay between $80 and $150 for a regular size dice set, that's an investment of their time and their money, and I want them to feel like they're getting their money's worth. So like, I deeply care that like the things that I'm producing are not just good and appealing to like a broad audience, and that I like what I'm making, because I do think that's deeply important. Like, make what you love, but having good quality and making a new big thing that is going to be interesting, I think that's important, especially if you're selling things.
For sure. I hate seeing people saying like, why is this $150 or something like that, because it never ends. Like, this isn't just like the little box of dice you get at the local game store. This is an art piece.
People seem to think that, one, the art is not valid because you can play with it. They seem to not understand the fact that like, art can be functional. Art does not have to be a Salvador Dali painting that you hang on the wall. I'm not knocking that. I love Dali. He's one of my favorite artists. But like, art is involved in so much of our everyday lives that I don't think people even think about. Like, there's artists who design the concept work for your new cell phone that you just bought, and that artist got paid appropriately. Or even when it comes to pricing, like, I think the difference is when you can see a person's face and you can physically see how they're doing their thing. For some reason, it's easier to yell at the person's face. It's like you're not going to go into Tiffany's or Louis Vuitton or Walmart and be like, you know what, that rice cooker isn't actually, like, you produced it for like $3 in China.
Yeah.
So why am I paying $32? Like, you don't do that. That's not how things are done. So I don't understand why some people think that it's okay to do that to small businesses and artists.
Yeah.
Especially not when they're like, you see the physical hands making this thing. Oftentimes with social media in front of you.
Yeah.
And you know what's happening in this country and not taking advantage of any of the horrible things that are existing when a lot of things get manufactured overseas. So like, it drives me up a wall, and I end up getting a little uppity in sometimes people's comments, because it don't, especially when it comes to people like talk shit to me all day long. I will take it. I'm sponge. But if you say mean things to my friends or fellow artists that I respect, I'm gonna light your ass on fire.
Yeah. And the other thing is, like, you know, being angry at an artist for charging more isn't going to make them drop the price.
No, absolutely not. If anything, I will charge you more.
Yeah. Like, oh, here's an asshole fee, you know?
I've done that before. I had been at a convention, and there was a person who made a joke. I had done like, I posted a video about it a while ago. I did like a Bowser D20, so I painted Bowser and put Peach on the other side. He was like sitting on lava, and I had to paint all the lava rocks. And the guy was like, oh, how much is this? And I was like, it's $325. And he's like, that's a bit much. And I was like, okay, cool. It's $350. And then he walked away, and he came back, and he's like, is it still $325? I was like, no, it's $350. He's like, well, it was only $325. I was like, yeah, but you're an ass. And he's like, that's fair. Here's my card. And I was like, thank you. I will take your money and spend it on other things.
Nice.
So
nice.
It's like, don't be an ass.
Yeah.
It's not hard.
Just be kind. Be
Be
kind.
kind. Or if you don't like it, there's this funny feature on TikTok where you can just scroll to the next fucking video.
Yeah. Yeah. Just, there's this, here, this is an example of something you can do. Like, I'm looking at you, there's something I don't like. I'm just gonna look away. I'm just gonna look away.
Look away. I don't have to. I'm glad you're letting me live rent free in your head. It's fun for me.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I have one final question. Sure. What is something that you want to put in a dice that you have not yet?
Do you want the like the nice version or the cursed version?
Oh, let's do both. Let's do both.
So I really want to start doing, especially with my big giant dice, I want to start doing more diorama type stuff. So I am working with some incredibly talented artists who are doing some 3D modeling work for me to basically make inserts, so I could do like a Nightmare Before Christmas Spiral Hill situation inside the big 110 millimeter, and just I want to do more like diorama scene type things. Those are the pieces that I deeply put a lot of passion and effort and energy into. I love being challenged. There's something really cool about, like, I have this much space. How do I do something dynamic in this much space that no one has seen before? I love those. And then the cursed one, people keep asking me to do fingernail dice. I know.
That made me uncomfortable.
I know.
I don't know why I asked.
I'm very aware. The problem has been figuring out how to do it, and I think I finally know how I want to do it, and it's just going to take so much work, and I'm going to spend a crap ton of money on fake nails. And then
you have to cut your nails a lot.
Yeah, so the plan is fake nails.
Yes.
That way you can see the little color flecks of all the fake nail polishes and things. But then I'm still going to have to sit there and just snip them for hours and hours and hours.
Yeah.
Because they got to be the right shape. If you're going to commit to the bit.
Yeah.
So, it's really pretty diorama dice and fingernails. It's the duality of
that's the duality of Whitney.
Yes. Put it on a t-shirt, print it.
Great. So that brings us now to the game portion of our interview. Today I have a game for you that I'm calling Crit or Shit.
Okay.
I have in here I have 5 different dice trends.
Ooh,
and
okay.
you are going to tell me if it's something you enjoy and want more of, a crit, or like, you know, and yes, I know a crit can be a failure or a success. You name your own game if you're upset about it. And then if you think it's something that should be stopped, or like you want to see less of, or you wish was slightly different.
Yes.
Shit.
I understand.
Yes.
Perfect.
Cool.
Hit me.
Oh,
You can do this. I believe in you. Pressure.
Did it. All right. Number 1. This is a softball, but metal dice.
Metal dice. Shit.
Yeah.
I hate metal dice. Don't get me wrong. I have metal dice. but they're too heavy. And like I don't like that, like I have to have like a special tray, and I can't keep them with any of my resin dice, and they have to be completely separate. The only metal dice I like are the ones that are hollow, because they make jingling noises that make the brain happy. But otherwise, no, shit, hate it.
The sound they make when they roll scares me sometimes.
Same. It's
like
intimidating.
Oh,
It's like, if I was DMing, I'd want like one metal D20 just to fuck with my players. But
for the big rolls,
Exactly. But otherwise, no, keep them away from me.
Yes. Okay, number 2 is liquid core dice.
Those are crits. I like liquid cores, and I also like being able to do weird things in liquid cores. Like your traditional, like sparkly, pretty, those are great. But I like to do a lot of things where, like, I did one that was like a melted snowman. So it's like all the little snowman pieces, and like making scenes in the floating liquid core is fun and cool. So liquid cores are always a crit.
Nice. I like looking at liquid cores. Just like, I think you were holding one yesterday, and I was like, oh, I feel like I can see the future.
It's like holding like a magical, like you feel like you're holding an arcane focus. It's like, I feel magical.
Yeah. Okay, number 3 is irregular dice shapes.
That's complicated.
Yeah.
Because I like a lot of them. So like by default, I feel like I have to say crit. There's a couple that I can't stand, but it's purely because I don't want to have to make them.
That's valid.
I don't want to have to make, like, I love the arch style D4. I don't want to make them. Sanding round edges scares me. I don't want to do that. No, thank you. But like shards of the superior D4 shape. I really like the rhombic D12.
Yeah.
Because it feels good in your hands. And then there's been some people who started doing those really long crystal shaped dice.
Yeah.
They're so pretty. So like, I think on principle, for the most part, crit.
Majority crit.
Yeah.
Soft crit.
It's a soft crit.
Yeah.
Soft crit.
I like some of them, but I love the sensation of doing the, like, having all the dice, and like it's much easier when they're all similar shapes.
Yeah, but some of them are hard. Like the crystal ones scare me because I'm afraid to like hold more than like 2 of them in my hand, because they look like they could just be tiny murder weapons. And I'm like, that's too much. I could hurt myself.
Yeah. That's very valid. Okay, number 4, I think I also know the answer to this one, is obnoxiously large inserts.
I feel attacked. That's a crit. That's a crit. They're challenging to work with, and they have a higher fail ratio that I portray on the internet because people don't like to see things fail. So a lot of times you don't post that stuff. But I like the challenge of them. So all day, every day, that's a crit.
Yes. They're just fun.
They're fun.
They're campy.
They're campy and weird. They are the drag queens of dice.
Yeah. I see.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. I definitely know the answer to this last one as well. So our last one is people asking, is it balanced?
I'm gonna hurt you. Okay. It's a shit. Here's the thing about it, is I don't know where the video came up of the whole, like, I'm gonna saltwater check my dice, and like that's gonna be how I know if they flip. Fun fact, your chest X dice are all full of holes. Sorry, I hate to break you. Your chest X dice are all full of holes.
Porous as fuck.
And outside of a Vegas casino, when they're freshly opened, you're not finding balanced dice. Unless we're playing fucking game. So like, they're reasonably random enough for roleplay purposes. Yeah. If you're playing high stakes D&D and you care if your dice are perfectly balanced, I don't want to play with you.
Yeah.
That doesn't sound like a fun time to me.
You can buy someone else's dice.
You can buy someone else's dice. I will take someone else's money. It's fine. I will get over it. Once in a blue moon, the question gets asked genuinely, but a lot of times it's just being asked to demean or put down artists, and that is not something I will abide.
Yeah, it's in the same vein of like, why is this $200? It's the same people asking it.
It's a red flag.
Yeah.
And like, sometimes that red flag is very fiercely planted, and sometimes it's like a soft red flag because you just haven't been educated yet.
Yeah, it's like a pink flag.
Yeah. It's just a frustration, and we get asked it so much that like every once in a while I will unload on a person who was asking it genuinely, but it's just because I've had so many people ask it in unkind and unfair ways, and like at a certain point, you gotta let it out.
Yeah, you snap a little.
Yeah, snap a little. We're all human.
Yeah. Well, great. Thank you so much for playing Critter Shit.
I loved
so
it. It was
fun.
fun.
Yeah. I tried to think of ones that I was like, I feel like I know the answer, but also I want to know your elaboration.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm sorry if I elaborated too much. I like to talk.
I didn't notice. That brings us to the part of the interview called our TTRPG Spotlight, where I give you a chance to spotlight something going on in the TTRPG universe you think people should be excited about.
Yeah.
What do you got for us today?
Okay, so I don't necessarily have a specific thing. I have a trend that I'm seeing more of. And I like that more people who aren't just people of color are talking more about the importance of diversity in our space. I have deeply loved seeing more conversations around that topic. Even this weekend at PAX, there have been so many panels.
There were 2 panels today.
There's 2 panels today.
It's completely separate people.
Yeah, there was.
Talking,
I think there was 2 yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
There's another one tomorrow. So it's just been, as a person of color in the TTRPG space, it's really heartening to a degree to see the conversation being started. And like, yes, I'm mad that it's taken us this long. It's 2023. It shouldn't be that complicated to like have the conversation of your table should be diverse and like, especially if you're streaming things and representing ideals of the community. Like, it shouldn't be hard, but it's been really cool and gratifying to see it being talked about and it not having to be like the people of color saying it.
Yeah, it's super important conversation for everyone to be having.
It's something for everyone to be having, and the voices of the people who have more power should be uplifting the people of color's voices, so that the conversation can continue to happen and change and unfold. So, like I said, it's not a specific thing happening, but I like that the trend is becoming more commonplace. Like, I'm not having to start the conversation; other people are starting it for me, and then I can add to it, and I love that.
Yeah, 100%. Thank you so much for shining a spotlight. So the last thing I just want to ask you is, what do you have like coming up? Where can people find you on the internet? Like, what's all that? Yeah.
So you can find me on all platforms at Smoking Glue. Words are hard. At Smoking Glue Guns. 2024, my YouTube channel should be coming back. I finally have an editor with whom is incredibly talented human, and they get my humor perfectly, which is lovely. So YouTube will be coming back. I also have a couple of possibly streamed things that are in talks and in works. Stay tuned to my own personal pages for more information about that when I am allowed to talk about it, because I can't yet. Yay, non-disclosures. But yeah, I'm looking forward to 2024 and doing new things, going to more conventions. I did 30 cons this year.
Wow.
I'm so tired.
Yeah.
I'm so
And you want to do more?
I want to do more. Well, it's not so much that I want to do more. I want to do bigger ones. I haven't done anything out on the West Coast. I would love to get out to the West Coast and do some stuff out there. There's some hesitant talks of that happening. Again, stay tuned. We're at the part of the year where like lots of dots and buttons and bows are being put on things. But yeah, there's some actual play stuff happening, and I cannot wait to talk about it.
So exciting. I can't wait to hear about it.
Yeah.
But thank you so much, Whitney, for coming and talking with me.
It's a pleasure. It's
spending
a
some
pleasure.
time away here at PAX Unplugged.
Away from people, and I get to talk to a friend for like 30-ish
Yeah.
minutes. This is the dream at PAX. This is the dream.
And thank all of you for coming and listening to us, hang out. Make sure you stick around here at Open Table Adventures. We have so much more planned for you. You can check out all of our actual plays, like our Monster of the Week game, Park Strangers, our Halloween one-shot, our Holiday one-shot, our Call of Cthulhu game, Neptune's Revenge, all of our other interviews with other content creators, and so much more. So make sure you subscribe so you don't miss out on any of that. And as always, I have been Dan the Baker. This has been Open Table Adventures, and you are always welcome to pull up a seat. Bye-bye. All right, now you can get out of cosplay now.
I'll just leave now.